Hello there, and welcome to a new build guide for Age of Wonders 4, and this time I got you an Oathsworn build that I can only summarize as it just won't die. You guys asked me for a healing build, and this was the general inspiration for this one. So I did really my best to jam up all the healing into every that I could, and I am quite shocked about how well it works. I was actually trying to just put up a meme build for once, and yeah, we have high research output. It's quite early turn for all of the progress that I got. Economy is strong. Look at that rally of the lieges, and yeah, let's get over the moving parts. I was quite surprised how well it works. So the harmony Oathsworn that we use have that harmony thing going on for themselves, which basically means once your troops fall below 60% of their HP, they'll get healed once. Which is just an icing on the cake, but it was the general idea, because I was looking for a culture that has built-in healing synergy, and that was the best that I could find. Apart from that, we also gain happiness and higher devotion ranks out of being friends with everybody and avoiding to start wars and everything. This build has a lot of cool mechanics that utilize this basic thing quite decently into a pretty good economy, which I didn't foresee when I started, but it's a pretty good thing. But we don't have any steroids that increase our damage. I went with the cultural traits for Chosen Uniters, which increases the income from vassals and gives you more Whispering Stones in combination with Keepers of Knowledge. This is a nice turbo research package, but also synergizes super well into the Oath of Harmony, because we gain extra oath points when we gain vassals. So going for a quick vassalization is really way to go for this build. When it comes down to the racial traits, I went here for a defensive combination. You could go here for something offensive. Overwhelm tactics might work as really well. I personally felt like if I go for a Healy build, I went in for the theme as hard as I could. I think here, like I said, you could fit in something for extra damage if you feel like it. Adaptable for a faster experience gain, which also results in units that hit harder faster, because with the current experience system we gain quite a substantial amount of bonus damage for experience, and keen-sighted to make the backline reliable. We have a lot of ranged attackers, and a high average accuracy is a neat thing to go for. So let's show you tome-wise how I cranked up the healing to a ridiculous tier. Obviously, we go for Tome of Faith. You could also start with Discipline, though. I think Tome of Discipline adds in a little bit more punch, whereas Faith, once it kicks into gear, has more staying power. I opt for Faith out of two reasons. First off, I gain Faithful Whispers earlier, which gives me a good chance to dominate the free city market if necessary. Here it wasn't even necessary. Staves of Mending in combination with Chaplains is an amazing thing. You also have a ridiculous amount of supporters in this build eventually, and all of them having a touch heal for 15 HP is just amazing. Also, Faithful lowering their unit upkeep is just good, and in the later stages of this build, when we actually turn up the heat and get destructive as hell, this comes in handy. True 240 Shrines of Smiting. Chaplains are your single target healers in with Healing Prayer, negative buff effect, negative status effect remover 2, and they have Bless, which cranks up the damage of a singular unit. These guys are extremely important for this build because we have so many defensive elements. These guys are one of the few parts of our build that are actually able to crank up our damage, so very important. You gain the convents, which gain knowledge and mana output for high stability cities. Look at that Paragon side effect, 40 city stability. So yeah, Oathsworn have a really good time utilizing the convents. like a lot. You gain abbeys, which give you a good farm synergy. More farms, more knowledge. And many parts of this build also synergize with farms, so we have a pretty good thing going on for ourselves here too. And Wrath of the Faithful will eventually become a pretty big nuke, because eventually our entire species will become faithful. It's a spell that grows over time for your build massively. I don't like Army Heal too much for what it costs, but it's there, and I would recommend skipping it if it pops up. I personally just feel like these are just costing too much mana for what they do. Tome of Discipline. Here we have so much goodness, but mostly I picked this up for Inner Mastery, which gives your race a 20% extra healing received in combat, plus some status resistance. We rack up a lot of that in this build too. So yeah, what can I say? If we opt into a full-on healing strategy, I personally felt like this was a must-have, and I wasn't wrong with that. This gives you so much more bang for your buck on all stations that we take from here. Empowered Strikes is also a very interesting ability for a tanky, healy build like this, because when your troops successfully stayed one turn in the front line, received their heal when they're full HP then again, not only do they hit quite hard, they have now a chance to stun their enemy, which is really cool. I like this. This is a little bit of a gambly skill, but it is very, very powerful when it procs. Personally think this is much bigger than it looks like. Focus aim. I really was surprised how well it works for this build. You gain a once per battle true strike for your ranged attackers, and you know, sometimes this moment when you want to finish off a unit and the shot really counts, but you only have that 40% chance to hit. There we go. Focus aim. Job's done. Really, really powerful all-rounder that fills in many gaps where you just want to finish up somebody conveniently. Also, mind you, that this allows you to effectively increase the range of one of your troops once per battle massively, because you can go for the maximum range just for one shot, but it will always hit, even if it's originally just a 5% chance shot. It also negates a lot of these species that are extremely good at dodging ranged attacks. Sure, it wears off, you have it only once per battle, but focus aim. I love this spell, as you see. So, Mantra of Purification is a very, very optional spell for this build. I wouldn't even recommend it. We already have so many healing effects, and I always thought I had better things to do with my active spell slots. Monks are very cool, as we lack proper frontliners of a higher tier until the very late stages of the build. This guy comes in as a crutch in between. They have a really cool combo effect on the third attack in a turn, which is a splash attack of spirit damage. Super good synergy with the empowered strikes. And yeah, they can heal themselves by meditate, which is massive. So they can conserve resources of your backlines, and they can jump. So I think these are very, very important complements for our early game, and this is the reason why I said that this tome is also an excellent first choice, because having access to these guys very early is really good for your early game. Just to take it to your own liking. Monastery is synergistic with the farm. It increases stability and draft. So the cool part about the monasteries is we already have the convent, which synergizes with city stability. So eventually all cities crank out a ton of knowledge and happiness out of that alone, and training units also becomes easier and easier. Also, we gain a free conduit province. I like that. Tier 2 comes and we pick up the Tome of Famists, which is, for the first time since a long time, I can finally combine Staves of Mending with Staves of Mist. The brokenness of this combination is, I can't put it into proper words. So every one of your supporters now has a touch heal and a touch heal that also applies Clinging Mists, which makes it harder to hit the unit applied to, and they also gain a random positive status effect and some healing. So in a tension situation, every one of your supporters now can heal up to 3 times in a turn, if necessary. I mean, it has all cooldowns, and they can do that every turn, but the capabilities of keeping your units alive at this point are just beyond stupid. It gets better, though, once we gain also Fey Touched, which adds you Fey Guile, which means when you are utilizing the mist You can now utilize Mist even better, and most importantly, enemies can't use Clinging Mist against you anymore. I really like that. Although, I gotta say, this is one of the racial transformations where I feel like it's a nice to have. The Mistling is really, really cool. It is a tier 3 skirmisher with a nice single target strike, and they can ranged attack each turn, which is for this build very, very nice flex pick, as they can charge in, finish off somebody, or just stay back and shoot. Really, really high payoff. They're a little bit costly, and you need a tier 3 summoning capability for that, so it needs some prep up, but these guys are very, very much worth the effort. Fey Embrace, yeah, it's a mass buffing tool that is very, very cheap, and the mist clouds make it very hard for the enemy to apply ranged pressure on you. Same goes for the lingering mist thing. It's just, yeah. Fey water ponds are for this build sorta, because you're not so much relying on foresters, but yeah, there are free conduit provinces, and you can spread mist, which is camouflage, which would be in PvP extremely valuable, but the AI, I don't know, there's just not so much payoff of it. So the next tier 2, finally I was able to fit in fertility at this into this build. So we gain the nymphs. These are one of the major takeaways of this. So they gain the seduction ability, which is a capability to dominate the enemy. So that you can take a hostile takeover, which also allows you to even recruit enemies via mana after the combat, or they get distracted, which is really, really powerful. Nymphs allow you to either turn the enemy against each other, or open the window to burst down somebody better by a distraction. It's a pretty powerful thing. They also have a AoE Healy spell, which also spreads regeneration. It's just not getting displayed here. So you get with these a option to keep your units alive without any supporter in their vicinity, and a capability to use the enemy against each other. The amount of crowd control that comes out of nymphs is amazing. These are really, really powerful little creatures, and as you see there, summoning tier 3 units should be something that you really, really want to achieve here with this build. Blossom of Life is a really overpowered spell in the right situations. The thing is that 3 regeneration give you a healing of 18 points per turn, and it comes with a 2 hex radius spread. It's also fairly cheap. It's an excellent preparation spell to put on your frontliners before they go into battle. So I really think that this one is massive. These two come really, really handy for this build. You also gain Animate Flora, which gives you the capability to just put up something in the way of the enemy, which is sometimes really cool because the AI has that tendency to just ball their attention onto something tiny as these. The Temples of Fertility allow you to go really nuts in terms of city spread, because you already have that focus on farms. You have a lot of food production already, you have a lot of city stability, and now you gain even more expansion out of population. This is a really, really nutty little thing. And last but not least, we have with this build a counter agent against terraforming effects, which is a quite rare feat. There's not many books that can give you that. You will rarely really need it, but when you need it, you will be darned happy that you have it. And last but not least, we have here the capability to get profit out of grasslands for more synergy with what we already do. Can also increase the output of the farms. So with the tier 3, I went here into the Tome of Sanctuary, which I personally think brings this build to quite ridiculous marks. The Keeper's Mark makes your units steadfast when they reach fatal damage, and they get to go pacified. The thing is that pacification is a negative status effect that you can't cleanse. Your build has a lot of ways of doing that, which is, yeah, I don't know. It feels quite broken to counteract the downside of this. So all of you frontliners are very, very hard to kill. Anointed people for more status and spirit resistance. Salvation for resurrecting people. No, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This one only completely heals. Next tome. But yeah, if ever anything goes wrong, you can heal up people. And consecrated domain makes it very hard to attack you because that's a very, very powerful little thing. But I personally feel like anointed people and keeper's mark are the main takeaways for this little thing, as well as sanctuary. 15 mana and making it harder to pillage. It's really cool as it makes your cities much more resilient against that random infestation wonder in thingy. The other tier 3 to pick up here is Cycles. It's a very important tome because we gain projectiles of decay, which is a much needed damage increaser for a backline, which affects mages and archers, which is important for us. Parting gifts for even more healing shenanigans, and druids of the cycle for very high tier supporters, which gain all the benefits that we already racked up, plus the ability to resurrect people. What do you want more? Tier 4, I recommend here to go then into the Tome of Exaltation for the angelic transformation, rendering your entire species faithful and makes them flying and celestial. You gain resurrection, like I said. I was getting ahead of myself. And you gain the ability to spell-wise ascend armies, which is really powerful. Temple of the Exalted, hey, more city stability, you know what we want that for. And yeah, Shrines of Smiting as tier 5 units that give you the capability to utilize all that faithfulness into damage, which is also finally a good damage source. But as soon as you hit tier 3, you're really, really hard to kill, and with tier 4, you really pump out the damage. I personally would recommend for the other tier 4 either the Tome of Prosperity, which would give you Prosperity Dragons and Sleeves of Grace for more shenanigans on your supporters, or you could also go for Tome of Supremacy for those juicy exemplars and supreme magic. I'll leave it up to you at that point. So, let's go into the strat. I got a little bit lost in the tomes today, but the tome interaction for this build was very interesting for me personally. With the roster, forget about Honor Blades. I personally think they have really almost no existence in this build because the monks replaced them almost entirely. Their defensive strike would be interesting, but the rest of their abilities, yeah, the monk is just a better version of you guys. I'm very sorry you get to play in a different build. The Sworn Gods, on the other hand, are massive. They might be only tier 1, but they have Sundered Defense, and this makes them the most important tier 1 frontline spam unit that you get. Make these guys numerous in your armies, and don't be worried about losing them or anything. The point is, when they get to strike the enemy repeatedly, it makes you hit harder and harder while you heal up your troops. These guys are one of the main reasons why this build actually comes out of the early game unscathed. This is much better than I thought. Seriously, don't underestimate these. Just pump them out and keep them alive as good as you can. And when it comes down to tier 2, you want those chap lanes. Of course, I already explained how to work with these. They pump up the damage of your units. This is the main takeaway that I want to emphasize here once more. The monks are your mobile frontliners, which are, well, they die faster than your spear dudes, but they also hit harder and they have a self-heal capability. Apart from that, they are not that much to write home about. You also gain Seal Bearers, which are battle mages that you mostly don't need for this build because we don't have much battle mage synergy. Personally think you would be better off ignoring these mostly and just investing your money into supporters. They are single target nukers, but we don't need that. Seriously, we are more about staying power. Vowkeepers, on the other hand, are massive assets. They debuff or they strip buffs from the enemies. This is insane. They have a 1 hex burst heal when you need that big heal from the enemy nuke, so they basically, one Vowkeeper can counteract an entire nuke, and they can also dispel negative status effects on your own units. This mixture is insane. Again, pacification is a negative status effect. So, just saying. The rest of these guys is pretty straightforward. They are extremely powerful. You are easy to underestimate how broken it is to get a positive status effect removal on these, and I'm pretty sure that this will be changed into a percentile chance because currently it's stupidly broken. Now then, tier 3, we gain Peacebringers. So archers, you would think, would need archers icon. Once you are Paragon devotion, you gain the Arrow of Harmony skill, which is nuts. It's a single target nuke which pacifies the enemy, which makes them not able to attack. 40 damage plus pacification. Once you have Blight arrows up and running, these guys are a menace. Before that, you can pretty much ignore them. You are better off with that tier 2 roster. This entire build runs along with the tier 1 and 2 units for a long time before it gains tome-wise access to tier 3 units it can summon, and then tier 4 units and tier 5 units out of the order tomes. Before that, the Peacebringers, well, I really must say, before the Tome of the Cycles, they are not much to write home about. You would be even best off to just invest into them once you have the Paragon of Harmony ability available. Before that, they are not too interesting. After that, though, the ability to just nuke somebody and noping them out from acting in the coming turn, that's insane. Alright, apart from that, Imperium skills. We are deep into the Order territory, and getting yourselves friends in free cities is ridiculously easy on this build. You also gain a fair share of nature points eventually, and due to this 1 point shadow affinity, we also get the access to the knowledge extraction. So altogether, I really recommend to wait for clearing out infestations until you have pacification up and running, because from that point on you get an excellent jump start into your devotion. Really powerful stuff. Apart from that, get yourself as many diplomatic channels and whispering stones extra as you can. Fit whispering stones into these cities because the extra knowledge is amazing. Also, build those abbeys as quick as possible and plan in farms. You're excellent at farms. Farms are so good for your build. You're so good at playing expansionistic with this build because your cities can maintain extremely high stability rates while chugging up territory like crazy. This is one of the things where I really underestimated how gosh darn powerful this build is, because this also means you have a lot of gold and a powerful economy to chug around. I mean, turn 35. I have already more gold than I know to spend. I could rally up so flippin' many units here, and this is also one of the things that I must say. This build can cherry pick so good. So you might be not able to get yourself own tier 2 units, tier 3 and tier 4 units that quickly, but you can get them here. So this is your bootstrapping area where you get this build from the early into the mid game really well. This is so good. But it also means that you need free cities. This build's extremely reliant on free cities, and it would be like a lot weaker if you'd be playing it in an environment where there's no free cities. So if you'd be in an environment with no free cities, you'd be needing people declaring war on you to get them to turn them afterwards into vassals. That would be very important. But apart from that, spam those abbeys, get those convents up and running as quick as possible, and be faster than me on the wizard tower. I slept on this run over that, because you get the ability to summon tier 3 units quite fast, and you want them. These are really powerful. The moment that you can get those mistlings into your roster, that really matters. When it comes down to the ruler, I went here for a regular champion ruler, simply because these guys have the reactivation command ability, which is outright amazing for this build. I really enjoyed that one. Apart from that, I'm pretty sure you could choose whatever leader you want to. Personally, just felt like this was a very powerful pick on this one. Also, I recommend going for Ritualist as your first hero, because it does take a while until you get those supporters up and running. you need to develop your city and all. So your first hero being that is very powerful. After that, rangers, mages, frontliners, it works all because you just smack your healing on the people. This build is so stupidly easy to play because it's all about just getting those unit enchantments up and running, having at least 6 to 8 supporters on your roster, and just getting the front line in and healing them, and they just don't die. It's lovely. I really enjoyed this one way more than I thought it would when I was following the comments. So that being said, thanks for watching. Leave me your comments. I really love you guys for giving me sweet inspirations for new builds. And this one, I really think that I will be doing a healing build for another culture too. Let me know if you have an inspiration. But this is much better than I thought. Much better than I thought. So, leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, check out the description box, there's a playlist of tons of Age of Wonders videos from my side, and of course feel free to support the channel. Thanks for all of you who do, and thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Appreciate you all, and see you all next time. Bye bye.